The satisfaction you get from pulling a bubbling lasagna from the oven is one of the best food vibes in the world. I make this vegetarian lasagna verde whenever I need a hug from the inside. Begin by preparing your soy mince. I'm using dried soy mince here and I'm going to soak it in some hot water for about 15 minutes. For the sauce, we'll heat some olive oil and then add in some chopped onions, carrots and celery, as well as a sprig or two of rosemary. Fresh rosemary gives you the best aroma, but if you don't have fresh, you can always use dried. Cook this over a medium heat, stirring all the time until the onions soften and become translucent, but they don't need to brown. This took about 5 or 6 minutes for me. And then we're going to go in with our rehydrated soy mince, which I've drained, washed and squeezed dry. If you're using fresh or frozen plant-based mince, then you can add it at this stage and there's no need to soak. We just want to cook this for about 5 or 6 minutes until the mince starts to brown a little. Once it gets to this stage, you can add in some minced garlic, some chopped sun-dried tomatoes, which give this sauce a lovely flavour, some tomato paste or tomato puree, some dried oregano and salt. Mix this up and cook for another 4 or 5 minutes. Be sure to stir it all the time. This lasagna verde is packed with a bolognese that warms your bones, a creamy mascarpone bechamel and spinach lasagna sheets. Once it's baked, every mouthful is like a little bite of heaven. Once the mince starts looking like this, we can add in our tomatoes. I'm using chopped tomatoes from a can and some vegetable stock and water. Again, mix, 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 give everything a really good stir and bring it to a gentle simmer. When the sauce is bubbling like this, we're going to add in a small amount of double cream. That is heavy cream for my American audience, and this is just going to temper some of the sourness from those tomatoes and kind of meld all those flavors together beautifully. Once the sauce comes back to a gentle simmer, cover it with a lid and leave it over a low heat for around 15 to 20 minutes. The longer you cook this sauce, the more flavorful it will be. So if you have time, keep it going for half an hour, even 40 minutes. I'm going to make the bechamel sauce in a separate pan, and to do this, I've melted some salted butter, and to it I'm going to add some plain flour. Whisk it all up to create a roux. This roux is going to cook just for a couple of minutes before we add our meal. And the mixture of the flour and the butter is what will thicken our sauce. Slowly add the whole milk to the pan and keep whisking to remove as many lumps as you can. Once all of the milk has been incorporated, pour in some double cream and add some mascarpone cheese. This is going to give the sauce a lovely silky finish. The mascarpone in the bechamel sauce also helps this lasagna reheat particularly well, which means that it won't dry out. Season this with salt and a pinch of optional ground cloves. Keep whisking until your bechamel sauce looks just like this, and you can set it aside. It might feel like the sauce is a little bit more liquid than you'd like, but it will thicken up as it stands. To layer up the lasagna, I have greased my lasagna dish with some olive oil, and I'm going to lay on some of that cooked bolognese sauce all over the bottom. Top this with your lasagna sheets. I'm using lasagna verde. These are spinach lasagna sheets and they don't need any pre-cooking. I like to begin all of my lasagnas with a sturdy base, so I do a double layer of the bolognese at the bottom of the dish. I'm going in with a handful of vegetarian hard cheese. This is a Parmesan alternative, and you want to be quite generous with that. Follow up with some more lasagna sheets, this time alternating the way that you placed them. When you alternate the way that you're placing your lasagna sheets, it just makes for a sturdier lasagna that doesn't fall apart when you cut it and serve. On goes a generous amount of the bechamel sauce, and I'm going to spread this out all over the lasagna sheets so everything's covered. And again with those lasagna sheets on top. Continue layering up your delicious lasagna verde until all of your sauces and lasagna sheets are used up. I always like to finish with a layer of bechamel sauce on top just because it bubbles and turns golden brown in the oven and looks so sensational. To make this lasagna look as pretty as possible, I like to finish off the top layer with some fresh mozzarella, some chopped sun-dried tomatoes, sprigs of fresh rosemary, and a handful of pine nuts, but all of that is optional. You can finish it off with some of that vegetarian hard cheese, which will make the top a beautiful golden brown colour once it's come out of the oven. Off this goes to a preheated oven set at 190 degrees for about an hour. If it starts to brown too quickly, you can always cover it with some foil. Every mouthful of this lasagna takes me to my happy place. What you're left with is the satisfaction of knowing that you just created a masterpiece, a golden lasagna with layers and layers of joy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you next time.